I won $50 million in the lottery and decided not to tell anyone. Instead, I asked my family for help as a test. My sister Rebecca laughed so hard, she nearly choked on her mimosa. My father didn't even look up from his golf magazine. And my mother? She actually told me I was being manipulative by bringing up money at brunch. They had no idea I was testing them. And they had no idea that in my new private account, there was a balance of exactly $50,847,000. Before I tell you how this test destroyed my family's perfect facade, let me know where you're watching from in the comments. And if you've ever been the family disappointment who turned out to be the only one with their life together, hit that subscribe button. Because what happens next will make you believe in karma. The real story started 4 weeks ago. The fluorescent lights in the 24-hour convenience store buzzed overhead like dying insects. It was 2:47 a.m., and I was on hour 16 of a double shift at Mercy General Hospital. I'm a registered nurse, and I just worked the ER through a 5-car pileup and 2 cardiac arrests. My scrubs smelled like antiseptic and coffee, and my feet felt like concrete blocks. I stopped at the counter to buy an energy drink, and there it was. The Mega Millions display. $127 million. I pulled out 5 crumpled dollar bills from my scrub pocket and bought a ticket. I didn't pray over it. I didn't have lucky numbers. I just let the machine pick random numbers and shoved the ticket into my badge holder. 3 days later, I was sitting in my car in the hospital parking garage. My shift had just ended. It was 7:15 a.m. I was exhausted, scrolling through my phone, deleting spam emails, when I saw the notification from the lottery app. My heart didn't stop. It just went quiet. I clicked it. Congratulations. You have matched all 6 numbers. Estimated prize, $127 million. I stared at the screen. I read it 3 times. Then I locked my phone, placed it face down on the passenger seat, and I laughed. It was a small, hollow sound that echoed in my car. The kind of laugh you make when the universe finally tells a joke you understand. Before I could even process what this meant, my phone buzzed. A text from my mother, Patricia. Family brunch Sunday at the club.
11 a.m. sharp.
Don't be late this time. Rebecca has news. Dress appropriately. I looked at the lottery notification. Then at my mother's text. Rebecca has news.
Of course she did.
Rebecca always had news. Rebecca's engagement.
Rebecca's promotion.
Rebecca's new house in the gated community. I was 34 years old. I'd been a nurse for 12 years. I'd worked my way through community college, then nursing school, then my BSN, all while working full-time. I lived in a 1-bedroom apartment in a building where the elevator worked maybe half the time. I drove a 2009 Toyota Corolla with a crack in the windshield and a check engine light that had been on for 8 months. And my family saw me as the one who couldn't get it together. A strange coldness settled into my chest. It wasn't anger. It was clarity. I didn't drive to the lottery office. I didn't call anyone. I drove home, showered, ate leftover Thai food, and went to sleep. The ticket stayed in my badge holder. But I knew exactly what I was going to do with it. 2 weeks later, everything had changed and nothing had changed. I'd found Marcus Chun, not some billboard lawyer, but a wealth management attorney who specialized in lottery winners. His office was in a steel and glass tower downtown with a view that made my apartment look like a closet. He wore a suit that probably cost more than my car. Most winners go public immediately, he'd said, reviewing my case. They're excited. They tell everyone. Then they're broke in 5 years and everyone they've ever met has asked them for money. I don't want anyone to know, I'd said. Not yet. He smiled. Not a friendly smile. A knowing smile. Smart. Let's set up an LLC. Anonymous claim. Lump sum after taxes. You're looking at $50.8 million. The wire transfer cleared yesterday. I checked my phone's banking app obsessively. The numbers were still there. $50,847,000. But when I got home to my apartment, there was a notice taped to my door. The building had been sold to a new management company. Rent was increasing by $400 starting next month. I stood there holding the notice. That $400 used to mean panic. It used to mean picking up extra shifts, eating ramen for a week, that sick feeling of not being able to breathe. Now it meant nothing, but seeing it brought something back. A memory so sharp it cut. I was 19 years old, standing in our family's living room. My mother was there, dressed for her tennis league. My father was reading the Wall Street Journal, not looking at me. "I need to borrow $3,000, I'd said, my voice small. "For tuition. Financial aid didn't cover everything, and if I don't pay by Friday, they'll drop my classes." My mother sighed. That long, disappointed sigh I knew so well. "Darling, we just can't right now. Your father's firm had a bad quarter. We have Rebecca's sorority dues, and we're redoing the kitchen. You're going to have to figure this out yourself."
İde bakacağım.
"Mom, please. I'll pay you back. I'm working 30 hours a week already. I just need—" "Maybe," my father had said, still not looking up from his paper. "You should reconsider nursing. Rebecca's pre-law program is much more ambitious. Nurses are fine, but you're capable of more." I'd left that room, taken out a private student loan at 11% interest, and worked 40-hour weeks while taking a full course load. I paid off that loan 3 years ago. The next month, I saw photos on Facebook. My parents had taken Rebecca to Europe for her 21st birthday. 2 weeks in Paris and Rome. My father posted a photo of a $800 bottle of wine they'd had at dinner. They had money. They just didn't have money for me. If that hit you in the chest, if you just felt something shift, I need you to do one thing. Subscribe right now and stay with me to the end. But if someone you know needs to hear this, someone who's always been the responsible one who gets nothing back, send them this video after you finish. They'll understand why. Standing in my apartment now, holding the rent increase notice, I felt that old pain rise up. But underneath, it was something new. Something cold and hard and patient. I unlocked my phone. I went to the family group chat, and I typed out the biggest lie I'd ever told. A lie that felt truer than any truth. "Hey everyone, I'm in serious trouble. I need help." Sunday brunch at the Riverside Country Club. The dining room smelled like expensive perfume and fresh flowers. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling. The tables had white linen and actual silverware. My family was already seated at our usual table by the window, overlooking the 18th hole. Rebecca was there in a cream-colored dress that probably cost a month of my rent, her blonde hair blown out perfectly, her engagement ring catching the light. Her fiancé, Brandon, sat next to her in a blazer and designer jeans. Brandon worked in his father's commercial real estate firm and thought wearing expensive sneakers to brunch was a personality. My father, Richard, was in his golf clothes, clearly planning to play 9 holes after we ate. My mother, Patricia, was studying the menu like it wasn't the same menu they'd had for 20 years. I walked up to the table in my Target dress and cardigan, the one nice outfit I owned. "There she is," Rebecca said, not looking up from her phone. Only 15 minutes late this time. I sat down. A waiter immediately appeared with mimosas for everyone except me. They knew I didn't drink before an evening shift. "So," my mother said, setting down her menu and folding her hands. "Rebecca has wonderful news." Rebecca's face lit up. She placed her hand with the ring on the table, a calculated gesture. "Brandon and I set a date. June 15th. And we found the most incredible venue. It's this restored barn upstate, very rustic chic. It's going to be beautiful." My mother actually clapped. "Oh, darling, that's perfect. June is ideal for an outdoor wedding." Brandon leaned back in his chair. "Yeah, my dad knows the owner. Got us a deal. Only $45,000 for the venue. Only $45,000. He said it like it was a coupon discount." "That's wonderful," I said. My voice sounded far away. "I'm really happy for you both. We're thinking a destination block party too," Rebecca added. "Tulum, probably. For days." This was my moment. I set down my water glass. My hand was shaking. I didn't have to fake that. "Actually," I said, and my voice cracked perfectly, "I need to talk to you all about something." The table went quiet. They looked at me like I just announced I had a disease. I'm in trouble. Real trouble. My father's eyes narrowed. What kind of trouble? Financial trouble, I whispered. I looked down at the white tablecloth. I got behind on some bills. Medical bills from when I had that kidney infection last year. And my car needs $2,000 worth of repairs to pass inspection. And my rent just went up.
I'm
going to lose my apartment. I have 30 days. Silence. Then Rebecca laughed. A bright, sharp sound that made heads turn at nearby tables.
You're kidding, she said.
You make, what, $70,000 a year? How do you not have $2,000 saved? I looked at her. Really looked at her. At this woman who'd never paid for her own college, her own car, her own anything. I don't, I said simply. I've been helping pay for. I stopped myself. Almost said too much. Helping pay for what? My mother asked, her voice sharp. I shook my head. Never mind. I need to borrow $3,500 just to get through this month. I'll pay you back. I'll set up a payment plan. I just need $3,500? My father actually laughed. A dry, dismissive sound. Do you think we're an ATM? Brandon leaned forward, and I could smell his expensive cologne. Listen, no offense, but you need to learn to budget. Have you tried those apps? Mint is free. You should track your spending. The man who just casually spent $45,000 on a barn was giving me budgeting advice. My mother set down her mimosa glass with a sharp clink. Darling, she said, and her voice had that edge it always did when she was about to say something cruel disguised as concern. This is exactly why we encouraged you to pursue something more lucrative. Nursing is noble, but it's not exactly a career that builds wealth. I save lives, I said quietly. Yes, and that's admirable, my father said, picking up his golf magazine. But it doesn't save you from poor financial planning. I felt my chest tightening, the old shame creeping at my throat. I'm not asking for a gift, I said. I'm asking for a loan. From my family. Rebecca sighed dramatically. Honestly, I think you need to hear this. You're 34. You should have an emergency fund. You should have savings. The fact that you don't means you're living beyond your means. Living beyond my means. In my one-bedroom apartment with a broken elevator and the crack in my windshield. I looked at my mother.
Mom, please.
I've never asked you for anything. That was a lie, but I wanted to see what she'd say. She pursed her lips. You asked for that tuition money when you were 19. Which I paid back, I said. Every penny. With interest from my loan. And we're very proud that you handled it, my mother said, patting my hand in that condescending way. Which is exactly why we know you'll handle this too. Brandon's phone buzzed. He looked at it and grinned. Babe, the guys are confirming for Pebble Beach next month. 4 days, 3 nights. It's going to be sick. My father perked up. Pebble Beach? What's that running you? $8,000 for the group, but it's split between 6 guys, Brandon said. So like $1,300 each. Totally worth it. I stared at him, then at my father, who was nodding appreciatively. Then at Rebecca, who was smiling at her fiancé like he'd just announced he'd cured cancer. $1,300 for a golf trip, but not $3,500 to help me keep a roof over my head. The test wasn't over, but I already knew they were failing. I excused myself to the bathroom. My hands were shaking, but not from fear, from rage. I locked myself in a stall and pulled out my phone. I opened my banking app. $50,847,000. Still there.
Real.
I could pay for Rebecca's entire wedding right now and not even notice. But that wasn't the point. I typed out a text to my father. Private. One last chance. Dad, I'm really scared. I've never asked like this before. Can we please talk after brunch? Just the 2 of us. I sent it. I watched the 3 dots appear, then disappear, then appear again. His response came through. I have a tea time at 1. You need to sort this out yourself. That's what adults do. I took a screenshot. I'd need it later. I walked back out to the table. They were laughing about something, passing around Rebecca's phone, looking at bridesmaid dress options. So we're thinking sage green, Rebecca was saying. Very spring. Very fresh. I sat back down. The waiter brought my salad. I took one bite. It tasted like nothing. My mother looked at me. Are you all right? You look pale. I'm fine, I said. Good, she said, turning back to Rebecca. Because we need to talk about your bridal shower. I'm thinking we could host it at the house. Maybe 50 people?
50 people.
For a shower. While I was supposedly about to lose my apartment, I pulled out my phone and opened a notes app. Under the table, I started a list. People tested. Rebecca laughed. No offer to help. Father, sort it out yourself. Mother, lecture about career choices. Brandon, budget app suggestion. I had 3 more people to test before I sprang the trap. After brunch, I sat in my car in the country club parking lot and made a call. My phone showed 2:47 p.m. I had to be at the hospital for my shift at 7 p.m., which gave me time. I dialed my Uncle James, my father's younger brother. Uncle James was different from my father. He'd started his own tech company 15 years ago, sold it for $30 million, and retired at 45. He drove a Tesla, lived in a modern house with solar panels, and posted on LinkedIn about giving back and supporting the next generation. 3 years ago, Uncle James had a health scare. A stroke at a charity gala. I was there, off duty, and I was the one who recognized the symptoms immediately. I rode with him in the ambulance, held his hand while he was terrified and confused, and stayed with him until my Aunt Carol arrived from their vacation house. The neurologist told me later that my quick response saved his life. If they'd waited even 20 minutes more, the damage would have been catastrophic. Uncle James had hugged me in the hospital hallway. I owe you everything, he'd said. Anything you ever need. Anything. I pressed the call button. He answered on the 3rd ring. Hey, kiddo. How are you? Uncle James.
I'm
not great, actually. What's wrong? His voice shifted to concern immediately. I told him the same story. The medical bills, the car repairs, the rent increase. The $3,500 I desperately needed. There was a long pause. Wow, he said finally. That's tough. I know it's a lot to ask, I said, letting my voice shake. But I'm really scared. I've never been in this position before. Another pause. I could hear him breathing. Here's the thing, he said, and his voice had changed. It was the voice he probably used with startup founders asking for funding. I'm actually pretty cash poor right now. I've got everything tied up in investments. The market's been volatile, you know? I'd have to liquidate some positions, and the timing is really bad. I closed my eyes. Uncle James, 3 years ago. I know, he said quickly. And I'm grateful. I am. But that was a medical emergency. This is a financial planning issue. You're a smart woman. Have you considered a personal loan? Credit unions have decent rates. Credit unions. He was suggesting I take out a loan. What about the emergency fund you're always posting about on LinkedIn? I asked. The one you said you set up for family? Silence. Then, that's for Aunt Carol's parents. They're elderly. It's different. Right? I said. My voice was flat now. It's different. Look, I'll tell you what, he said, and I could hear him trying to sound generous. I can Venmo you $200. For groceries or gas. But $3,500 is it's too much right now. $200. The man who sold his company for $30 million was offering me $200. Thanks, Uncle James, I said. I appreciate it. I hung up before he could Venmo me anything. I sat there in my car and updated my list. Uncle James, cash poor, offered $200. Man worth $30 million plus offered $200.
2 more to go.
My next call was to my cousin Derek, Rebecca's older brother. Derek was 38. He worked as a financial advisor at a big firm downtown. He drove a BMW, lived in a condo with floor-to-ceiling windows, and loved to give unsolicited advice about retirement accounts and index funds. Last year, Derek's now ex-wife had cleaned out their joint account and disappeared. He'd shown up at my apartment at midnight, devastated, broke, and begging to stay on my couch. I'd said yes immediately. He lived with me for 4 months. I bought groceries. I paid for everything because he was rebuilding. I listened to him cry at 3 a.m. I covered his share of utilities. I never asked for a penny. When he finally got back on his feet and moved out, he'd taken me to dinner at Applebee's and said, "You saved my life. I'll never forget this." I called him. "Hey, cuz, what's up?" I gave him the story. Medical bills, car repairs,
Rent.
$3,500. "Oh," he said, drawing out the word. "That's rough. How'd you let it get that bad?" "It just accumulated," I said. Right. Look, I'm going to be real with you, because I care about you." His voice shifted into financial advisor mode. "This is a symptom of a bigger problem. You don't have a budget. You're not investing. You're living paycheck to paycheck." "Derek, I just need—" "Have you heard of the 50-30-20 rule?" he continued. 50% for needs, 30 for wants, 20 for savings. If you'd been following that, you'd have at least 6 months of expenses saved. I gripped my steering wheel. "Can you help me or not?" "Here's what I can do," he said. "I can set up a free consultation for you with our financial planning division. They'll look at your whole picture, help you build a real strategy." "I don't need a consultation. I need $3,500.
He laughed. Awkwardly.
"Yeah, I don't have that kind of cash just sitting around. I'm rebuilding my investment portfolio after the divorce. Every dollar is allocated. Every dollar is allocated. I let you live with me for 4 months," I said quietly. "And I'm grateful. That was amazing. But that was different. That was short-term housing. This is cash. Cash is different." "You're right," I said. "It is different." I hung up. "Derek, financial advice. Free consultation offer. No actual help. Cash is different. One more test. The person I'd help most." My last call was to my older brother, Nathan. Nathan was 42. He lived 3 states away with his wife, Michelle, and their 2 kids. He was a high school teacher, made decent money, had a nice house in the suburbs. 8 years ago, Nathan's youngest daughter, Emma, needed emergency surgery. A burst appendix. The surgery went fine, but the bills were devastating. Their insurance had a high deductible, and they were looking at $15,000 out of pocket. I just got my first real nursing job. I had $18,000 in my savings account. It was every penny I had after finally paying off my student loans. Nathan called me, desperate. "We're going to lose the house. We can't pay this. I don't know what to do." I didn't hesitate. I wired him $15,000. All of it. I ate ramen and worked double shifts for 6 months to rebuild my savings. "I'll pay you back," he'd promised. Every cent. With interest. That was 8 years ago. I'd never seen a dollar. But that wasn't why I'd given it to him. I gave it to him because Emma needed it. Because family helps family. I called him now.
"Hey, sis.
Long time. How are you?" I told him everything. The whole desperate story. He listened quietly. When I finished, there was a long pause. "Man, that sucks," he said finally. "I wish I could help. I really do." "Nathan, I gave you $15,000. "I know. And we're still grateful. But that was 8 years ago.
Things are different now.
We've got 2 kids and activities. Emma's in travel soccer, and that's $3,000 a season. Tyler needs braces. Michelle's car just died, and we're looking at a $600 monthly payment for replacement." I waited. "We're stretched thin," he continued. "I mean, teaching doesn't pay what nursing pays. You're probably making $30,000 more than me annually." He was comparing salaries, justifying why he couldn't help by saying I made more money than him. "What about the $15,000?
I asked again. He sighed.
"Look, we consider that a gift. You never asked for it back. We figured you'd moved on. A gift. He decided it was a gift. I need help, Nathan. Have you tried asking Mom and Dad? They've got money. I did. At brunch. They said no. Well, he said, and I could hear him shrugging through the phone. That's tough. Maybe this is a sign you need to make some changes. Pick up agency work. Nurses can make bank doing agency shifts. Pick up agency work. I was already working 50-hour weeks. So you can help. It's not that I can't. It's that I can't afford to. There's a difference. Right? I said. There's a difference. Hey, I gotta run. Tyler's practice starts in 20. But good luck. Let me know how it works out. He hung up. I sat in my car. The sun was setting. The country club parking lot was almost empty. I looked at my list. Nathan, we consider that a gift. $15,000 I gave him equals gift. $3,500 I need equals impossible. The test was complete. 6 people. My entire family. Not one of them would help. But one person would. I didn't go straight to work. I had time. I drove across town to a neighborhood I knew well. Marguerite Collins lived in a small house on Maple Street. She was 71 years old. She'd been a school nurse for 40 years before retiring on a modest pension and Social Security. I'd met Marguerite during my first year of nursing. She was volunteering at the community health clinic where I was doing rotations. She took me under her wing, taught me things nursing school couldn't, and became my mentor. 3 years ago, Marguerite's basement flooded during a storm. Her insurance denied the claim on a technicality. She needed $8,000 for repairs and mold remediation. She never asked me for help. I found out from another nurse at the clinic. I showed up at her house with a check. I can't accept this, she'd said, tears in her eyes. Yes, you can, I told her. Family helps family. I knocked on her door now. She answered with a smile, wearing a gardening apron and holding pruning shears. Child, what a wonderful surprise.
Come in, come in.
Her house smelled like fresh bread and lavender. Everything was worn but clean. Comfortable.
Real.
We sat in her living room. I told her everything. Not the fake story. The truth. I won the lottery, I said. $50 million. After taxes. Her eyes went wide. Her hand went to her chest. But I didn't tell anyone. I continued. I set up a test. I asked my family for help. For $3,500. Just to see if anyone would. Oh, child, she whispered. Not one of them helped. Not one. My sister laughed at me. My father told me to sort it out myself. My uncle, who I saved from a stroke, offered me $200. My brother, who I gave $15,000 to, told me he considered it a gift. Tears were running down my face now. I hadn't planned to cry. But sitting there in Marguerite's living room with someone who actually saw me, actually cared, it all came pouring out. I thought maybe I was being crazy, I sobbed. Maybe I was expecting too much.
But then I thought about you.
About how when you needed help, I didn't even question it. And when I was struggling in nursing school, you bought me textbooks. You invited me to dinner when you knew I couldn't afford groceries. You've been more family to me than my actual family. Marguerite stood up. She walked to her bedroom. I heard a drawer open. She came back with an envelope. Her hands were shaking. I need to pay my property taxes, she said. It's $2,400. Due in 3 weeks. I've been trying to save, but my prescription costs went up, and I had to fix my car. I don't have it. She held out the envelope to me. I have $900 here. It's all I have. But you take it. You need it more than I do. You can stay here. I have a spare room. We'll figure out the taxes together. I stared at this woman. This 71-year-old woman on a fixed income, offering me her property tax money. This was the moment everything became clear. I took the envelope from her hands. Not because I needed it, but because refusing it would hurt her. Then I pulled out my phone. I opened my banking app. I turned the screen to face her. I don't need it, Marguerite. I have $50,847,000. See, She looked at the screen. Her mouth opened. No sound came out. But I need you to understand something, I said, taking her hands. You just offered me everything you had. My sister, who's spending $45,000 on a wedding venue, laughed at me. My uncle, who's worth tens of millions, offered me $200. My brother, who I gave $15,000 to, told me to pick up extra shifts. I squeezed her hands. You were the only one who would have actually helped.
She was crying now.
Full tears streaming down her face. That's what family does, she whispered. Exactly, I said. And that's why you need to pack a bag. What? I smiled. A real smile. The first one in weeks. We're going downtown. Tomorrow morning. You're going to help me meet with my wealth attorney. Because I'm setting up a foundation, and I need a co-director I can trust. Child, I don't understand. Your property taxes?
Paid.
Your prescriptions?
Covered.
That spare room you were going to let me stay in? We're renovating it into a home office because you're going to help me change lives. I handed back her envelope. This $900 stays yours. But starting tomorrow, you're on salary. And we're going to build something that helps people like us. Nurses. Teachers. People who actually help others but get left behind. Marguerite pulled me into a hug. We both cried. But these were different tears. These were the right kind. But first, I had one more family dinner to attend. 1 week later, I sent a text to the family group chat. Family meeting. This Sunday. 2 p.m. It's about my financial situation. Please, I really need everyone there. The responses came in fast.
Rebecca, fine.
But I have a cake tasting at 4. Father, this better be quick. Tea time at 3:30. Mother, I suppose we can spare an hour. Uncle James, I'll try to make it. Derek, will there be food? Nathan, can we do a Zoom? Flight's too expensive. I sent one more text. In person only. Marcus Chen's office. Downtown. 40th floor. The address is below. Rebecca responded. Why a lawyer's office? Are you suing someone? I didn't respond. Sunday, 1:55 p.m. I stood in Marcus Chen's conference room. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city. The table was polished mahogany. Everything smelled like expensive leather and success. I wore a tailored navy suit I'd bought 3 days ago. My hair was professionally styled. I looked like I belonged here. Marguerite sat next to me, equally polished in an elegant dress. She squeezed my hand under the table. Marcus stood by the window, reviewing his notes. Remember, he said, let them talk first. Let them show you who they are. At 2:03, my family arrived. They looked wrong here. Out of place. Rebecca in her athleisure wear and designer bag. Brandon in expensive sneakers. My father in his golf clothes. My mother overdressed in pearls. Uncle James in a Tesla t-shirt. Derek in a suit that was trying too hard. They filed in, looking around at the office with barely concealed confusion. What is this? My mother asked. Why are we in a lawyer's office? Please sit, I said. My voice was calm. Steady. Not the desperate voice from brunch. They sat. Slowly. Suspiciously. Rebecca looked at Marguerite. Who's this? This is Marguerite Collins, I said. She's my family. Rebecca's eyes narrowed. Your family is sitting right here. Is it? I asked. My father sighed loudly. Can we get on with this? I have plans. Of course, I said. I nodded to Marcus. Marcus pressed a button. A screen descended from the ceiling. 2 weeks ago, I said, I asked each of you for help. I told you I needed $3,500 to avoid losing my apartment. And we explained why we couldn't help, my mother said quickly. We're not made of money, right? I said. Let me refresh your memory. Marcus pressed play. Rebecca's voice filled the room. Crystal clear. You make, what, $70,000 a year? How do you not have $2,000 saved? Then my father's voice. Do you think we're an ATM? Brandon's voice. You need to learn to budget. Have you tried those apps? My mother's voice. This is exactly why we encouraged you to pursue something more lucrative. The recording played on. Uncle James, I'm pretty cash poor right now. Derek, have you heard of the 50-30-20 rule? Nathan, we consider that a gift. The room was silent except for their voices condemning them. When it ended, Rebecca found her voice first. You recorded us? That's illegal. Actually, Marcus said, his voice smooth as silk. In this state, only one party needs to consent to recording. She consented. It's perfectly legal. But that's not even the interesting part. Before I show you what happened next, I want you to ask yourself something. What would you do with $50 million? No, really? Would you forgive them? Would you share it? Would you burn every bridge and start over? There's no right answer. But if you're brave enough, comment what you would do. Because the ending might surprise you. And your answer might surprise you too. And while you're at it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Your support means the world to me. I stood up. I walked to the window. The whole city spread out below me. The interesting part, I said, not turning around, is that I didn't actually need help. I heard my mother's sharp intake of breath. 2 weeks before I asked you for $3,500, I won the lottery.
Mega million.
$127 million jackpot. I turned around now. Their faces were frozen. After taxes, lump sum, I received $50,847,000. I nodded to Marcus again. He slid papers across the table. Official bank statements.
My father grabbed one.
His hands were shaking. His lips moved, counting the zeros. 50 million, he whispered.
It was a test, I said.
My voice was ice. I want to know if any of you would actually help me. If any of you saw me as family, or just as what? The failure? The disappointment? The one you could ignore? That's not fair, Rebecca said, but her voice cracked. You lied to us. Did I? I asked. Or did I just give you an opportunity to show who you really are? Uncle James stood up. He was sweating. Look, if I'd known. If you'd known I had money, you would have helped? I laughed. It was a cold sound. That's exactly the problem, Uncle James. I looked at each of them. Rebecca, you're spending $45,000 on a wedding venue but couldn't spare $3,500 for your sister's rent. Brandon, you're dropping $1,300 on a golf trip. Dad, you chose a tea time over your daughter. Mom, you lectured me about career choices while planning a 50-person bridal shower. I turned to the phone on the table. Nathan was on video call, silent, pale. Nathan, I gave you $15,000 8 years ago. You decided it was a gift. Derek, you lived with me for 4 months. Uncle James, I saved your life. The silence was total, and not one of you would help me. My mother found her voice. It was small, broken. Sweetheart, we didn't know. That's the point, Mom. You didn't know. And when you didn't know I had money, I wasn't worth helping. Marguerite stood up now. Her voice was quiet but firm. I offered her my property tax money, she said. All $900 I had saved. I offered her my spare room. I offered her everything, because that's what you do for family. Who are you? My father demanded. I'm the woman who gets it, Marguerite said. I'm the woman who's going to help her change the world while you all pretend you were always supportive. Rebecca's face went from shock to rage. This is insane, Rebecca shrieked, standing up so fast her chair fell backward. You set us up. You manipulated us. This is cruel. Is it? I asked quietly. Was it cruel when you laughed at me? When you told me to budget better while planning your $45,000 venue? That's different. We didn't know. Exactly, I said. You didn't know. And that's why Marguerite gets a salary. That's why Marguerite's name is on the foundation. That's why Marguerite matters more to me than any of you. My father stood up, trying to regain control. Now wait just a minute. You're our daughter. This is family money. My money, I corrected. My lottery ticket. My numbers. My account. We're your family, my mother cried. Are you? I looked at Marcus. He slid another document across the table. This is a family loan agreement I had drafted, I said. It stipulates that I offered each of you a loan of $3,500 with 0 interest, payable whenever you were able. Every single one of you declined. You all signed by refusing. Uncle James was reading the document, his face going gray. This isn't you can't. I can, I said. And here's what's going to happen. Marguerite and I are starting the Collins Foundation for Healthcare Workers. We're going to help nurses, teachers, first responders, people who help others but get forgotten. I looked at each of them. You won't be on the board. You won't be beneficiaries. Your names won't be mentioned because you didn't earn it. You can't cut us out, Rebecca shouted. We're your family. No, I said softly. Marguerite is my family. My colleagues at the hospital who covered my shifts when I was sick. The patients who remembered my name. They're my family. Family isn't blood. Family is who shows up. I walked toward the door. Marguerite followed. Wait, my mother said, tears streaming. Please, we can fix this. We made a mistake. You made a choice, I said. You all did. And now I'm making mine. 6 months later, I stood in the lobby of the new Collins Foundation building. It was a renovated hospital from the 1920s, restored and beautiful. Marguerite stood next to me, reviewing applications on her tablet. We have 847 applications this month, she said. Nurses needing help with student loans. Teachers facing eviction. First responders with medical bills. We'll help as many as we can, I said. My phone buzzed. A text from Rebecca. Mom's birthday is next month. Will you come to dinner? I didn't respond. I blocked the number. Another text came through. This one from a number I didn't recognize. My name is Sarah. I'm a nurse in Detroit. I just got my student loans paid off by your foundation. You saved my life. Thank you. I showed the text to Marguerite. She smiled. That's family. That's family, I agreed. The lottery didn't change my life. It just revealed who was in it. And that revelation was worth more than $50 million. If you made it this far, you're my people. You're the ones who understand that family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up. I'm building a community here of people who've been underestimated, overlooked, and undervalued. People who gave everything and got nothing back. People who are done being small. If that's you, subscribe. Not because I asked, but because you deserve to be in a space where your worth isn't questioned. And if you're watching this thinking, I would never do that to someone, good. Please don't. But if you're watching this and you're realizing, maybe you're the Rebecca in someone else's story, it's not too late.
Call them. Text them.
Show up. Don't let this be you in 10 years, sitting in a lawyer's office wondering where it all went wrong.